All right, well, good evening. Welcome to our regularly scheduled Zoning Advisory Commission meeting. It is October 4th. Call this meeting to order. Sheena, would you please call roll? Or Travis, excuse me.
Zakaro? Christ?
Here.
Russell?
Here.
Norton?
Here.
Lorman? And Mulligan.
Here. Can you confirm we're in compliance with the Iowa Open Meetings Law?
We can?
Okay, very good. All right, commissioners, in front of you are our meeting minutes from September the 6th. At this point, I'd entertain any modifications or a motion for approval.
I'll make the motion to approve as submitted.
Okay, we have a motion for approval as submitted. Do we have a second?
Second.
Very good. We have a motion and we have a second. Travis?
Russell?
Aye.
Christ?
Abstain.
Norton?
Aye.
Mulligan?
Okay, so those meetings, or the minutes are
Bring her in the
approved.
next one.
Good evening. All right, so this evening we have two items. We have an action item and we have a public hearing. So the action item, for those of you that are here, so we'll ask that the applicant come up to the podium here in just a second. We'll ask for your name, your address, and what it is that you're after from the commission. So with that, our first action item is a site design waiver on 1015 Century Circle. It's yours.
Hi, I'm Dan Ernzen from Beidler Towing, 1015 Century Circle. Looking for a site design waiver on the hard paved surface and the shrub requirement.
Maybe you're welcome to stop there. Maybe go a little bit further and just say why you're asking for it.
We're trying to expand our footprint of our garage for truck storage. It's over 25%. From what I understand, is the whole lot by code needs to be paved where a vehicle is going to be parked. We have an entire fenced-in property, and we actually went ahead and blocked it all off so you can't see it from the street at all. And then in front of that lot, we've already blacktopped or paved, hard surfaced that square that was gravel. We're hoping that beyond that fence, we could get a waiver on. And then the shrub requirement, I see it listed 39. It's kind of impossible where we're at. I've done, I think, the best I can. I've done about 15, but I think we're at the limit without getting a forest out front, so.
Sounds good. I'm sorry, your name again was?
Dan Ernzen,
Dan. Did we get Dan's address?
1015 Century
I
Circle.
can't remember if you said it. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. Dan, thank you.
Yes, sir, thank you.
All right, any questions for our applicant before he takes a seat? Okay, very good. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
You can have a seat.
Thank you.
Okay, Travis, staff report, please.
Yes, sir. Assistant Planner Travis Schrobelgen. The applicant's looking to construct a 62 by 32 addition at the northeast corner, just behind the office building. It's seen on the left side here. Because that is over 25%, it triggers the current code to be met. Two items on that would be difficult, potentially for the applicant. One is that all vehicle access areas, driveways, would need to be hard surfaced. And the other is the number of trees/shrubs, and trees are met, obviously, by the site on the northwest and southwest sides. Shrubbery, there are requirements based on lot area, and it'd be 39 shrubs are required. The applicant does have a few out front, or did, and I don't know if it's intent to keep them or not, and that might be a good question for the commission to ask. This review, I'd state in the staff report he maintained 7 of those. That's not necessarily a requirement. Again, you could ask the applicant where he's at on that. Otherwise, the site waiver itself would require 4 affirmative votes. And I believe that's all I have, unless you have questions.
Can you pull up an elevation of the front, please? Oh, it's in here. Sorry, you got it right there. Okay, sounds good. Any questions? Yeah.
Is there already a hard surfaced entryway of 25 feet?
Of 25 feet, the applicant, so this was formerly a gravel area that the applicant has already paved. That's hard surface there, and it's hard surface on the other side with the driveway going into the site.
The report mentions recommending requiring
Oh,
25.
yeah, I'm sorry. The intent of hard surfacing the vehicle access is so that we're not dragging gravel out into the public right of way. So I do have a condition in there, thank you for the reminder, a potential, something to discuss for the commission of just including 25 foot. There's a curb, if you go back to that same picture we started with, there's already a curb there, and I would recommend potentially on the inside of the gate, actually. So if you next picture up. So you can see that curb next to the office building, that goes up about 25 feet and then stops. And my recommendation is that that area would be hard surfaced there.
Is that what he described as already being hard surfaced?
No, that is gravel currently. That is a picture taken just the other day, so that's the current site.
To 25 feet from the street, or what's that 25-foot length?
The 25-foot length is the curb from where it stops, right there at the throat, kind of, yep.
And then
Back to the
back?
corner, which is just behind the corner of the building.
So back 25 feet from there?
My recommendation is from the fence right here, back 25 feet to where a curb ends.
Okay.
Yep, back to the corner of the building right there. Just that little section.
Has that been discussed with the applicant?
Other than the staff report, no.
Dan, did you read that? Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I've got a few thoughts on this I'd like to share. First of all, with the landscaping, I understand what's going on here, and that waiver makes sense. I'm having some heartburn on the allowing a gravel lot back there, basically. In the past, we've had everybody from mini storage to all kinds of different businesses put in paved surfaces where the vehicles travel and leave the storage areas gravel. So, I don't know. I want to be consistent with previous votes and what I've said in the past. And I don't know, I believe that at least as a bare minimum, the drives need to be paved.
So this is being triggered by the addition, right?
Yes.
That paving we're talking about is more than the building he's putting in.
Unfortunately, economics do not play into our decisions. That's one of the guidances in the code.
What are the travel areas on this property versus the storage areas? Because it looks like there's a lot of storage in the back.
You'd have to discuss that directly with the applicant, but just from this image, we can kind of see the heavily traveled areas or the lighter graveled areas.
Yeah, basically a loop around there is what I would
Yes,
assume.
that's what I understand.
I understand it could be very costly, but unfortunately, it's an ordinance, and cost really isn't a reason for us to consider a change.
Well, this property is set, just as far back as that other property we looked at last month, that got a lot of variances for landscaping and fences and a lot of other things, more than this, so.
But that one, everything was paved. Other vehicular traveled areas will be paved.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely open to talking about, landscaping and all that other stuff, waiving some of that, but I don't know. I'm just not a fan of changing the tunes that we've been singing for the paved surfaces.
How
But that's
often-
my opinion.
How often is this traveled?
Doesn't matter.
But it does, because we do it for one, then everybody's going to expect it for them. And I've seen too where there's been a couple that we had to kind of go out to get them to do it because it graded and it washed out onto the street and stuff every time it rained and stuff, which topographically this might not, but it's still not fair to those people if we're telling them, yeah, you've got a hard surface.
I mean, if we're worried about runoff, the runoff difference between gravel and a paved surface is right up there next to negligible.
No, I'm saying though,
No, I know what you're saying, but even, I'm just throwing out another one.
yeah.
If runoff in general.
Okay. Man, I'd have a hard time saying no to this. I see your point. This, I think adding the drive pad and certainly cutting down any potential for, I mean, he's not changing the use of what's in the back, so I'd have a hard time saying no to the request, based on, one, where it is and how it's being used currently and how it will be used after this. So that's my position, but I hear you.
I would agree that a lot of that requirement has to do with the direction of flow of the water off the property as well. And in this case, I mean, you can't tell from the map, but it looks like it's going towards all those trees in the back.
Yeah.
Chair Mulligan, if I may, something else that the commission has done in the past, I know there was an example off Cyple Road with storage facility in which the commission chose to discuss phasing a requirement like that. So over the course of time, that does become a little bit harder for, well, just with respect to enforcement and making sure that that is occurring over time. But I just wanted to make that, just bring to light that there have been other instances in which the commission has decided that within so much amount of time, this much would be, would be paved and so on and so forth. So just.
Okay.
Well, I'm prepared to propose that it be approved as recommended by the planning department because site considerations can also be taken into account.
Can you split the two into separate votes? Because I'd be more than happy to vote yes for the waiver on the landscape. But if you lump it together, I will not.
So the commission has the ability to break them into two separate votes. So you can vote separately for the landscaping and shrubbery requirement and then vote on the paving requirement separate. Between the two, they would just be both recommendation. Actually, you guys are the final authority on this. So if 4 vote in favor of it, it's approved. If there's less than 4, then it's denied for the waiver portion of it. So, but yeah, you can break them out in separate motions.
So can I get a clarification? The recommendation from staff was to add paving for 25 feet from the fence west from the gate, but nothing else?
That is my recommendation, yes.
Okay, thanks.
Where's the other building gonna be, or the add-on?
Yeah, I'm sorry, it didn't make the packet for whatever reason. It is just where the cursor's circling. It would square off the office building with the shop, or the whatever building that's there, the storage building.
So how far back is the end of the building?
It'd be 62 plus that 25 is approximately. So 90 feet, just less.
I would,
Went paving back to the end of the building at least.
what would you propose that's solving?
You know, from the entrance. If this is gonna be the end of the building.
Hey, Martha. Martha, can you take your hand?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Otherwise, the mic's
I'm
not
sorry.
picking up. I apologize.
From where it shows the entrance is on the thing to where the end of the building would become now, because they're gonna square it off, she said. Or he said, so this, it'd be from there to the end of the building would be paved.
Is that for runoff purposes, or is that to,
I think it's a compromise
okay,
because, like, and I agree with Pat, we've told a lot of other businesses, you have to do it, the whole thing. I don't think it's fair to them that we, this would be a compromise. Go back to the end, to the length of the new building you're putting up, from the gate to there, has to be paved.
okay,
It's better than having to pave the whole thing,
yep.
would be my suggestion.
Okay, well, I would entertain a motion then.
Do we have, well, we have one on the floor, but no second.
Oh,
Right.
I'm sorry. Carrie, did you make a motion to proceed as submitted? I'm sorry if I misheard you.
Well, if it fails, can we make a separate motions?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, it could fail for a second. You can make another motion.
Okay, I will motion to approve as submitted with the recommendation for the 25-foot hard surface behind the fence line.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second as submitted.
Did that include the landscape?
So the motion on us is everything in one motion right now. If it goes through and it fails, you could have an option to create another motion if you choose to do so.
Right. It would be
And that-
as submitted currently.
For clarification, that's as submitted with, well, with the caveat that 25-foot drive, correct?
Carrie, correct.
Correct.
Thank you. Lorman,
Aye.
Christ,
No.
Russell,
Aye.
Norton,
No.
and Mulligan.
Aye.
The motion received 3 votes, and so failed.
Okay. So would we, so Martha, you're saying go back 62 feet, 25 plus 62, right? So square it
Whatever
off with the edge
distance
of
to
the line.
so that at the end of the building, paved to the end of the building.
Okay.
Matt,
So, Mr. Chair, what I hear,
the applicant allowed to come forward again?
Yeah, sure, why not? Come on up.
There's just a couple things I want to mention. So initially, what you had said, Martha, is paved back to the end of the new addition. The whole plan is, obviously, and Patrick, you said money shouldn't be a thing, but as we save money, the whole intention is to actually pave on both sides to the end of the buildings. So I'm okay with that. I guess the problem I do kind of take part in is right across the tracks from me through the woods, which I can see is Chick Fry's lot. And he's got that big, huge gravel lot with all these new businesses going into it and not a single paved surface at all. I drove down there the other day in my truck, and there's gravel all over the road. I've taken the steps, to prevent that. Now, that gate that you're talking about, the 25 feet, which I said I intended to do anyways, there's no traffic there. It actually cycles around and comes out that lower driveway there, and I've done the paving already up to that fence. My guys are out there 3 times a week cleaning the parking lot and cleaning the street. We did it today. We do it Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. So I got to say, Century Circle, I put my heart into making it look nice. I got a weld shop next to me, a body shop across the street from me, an industrial meat grinder plant across from me. Probably have the nicest building down in that circle, and I intend to keep it that way. But to what you said, Martha, it's our intentions to go to the end of the building anyways. Not this year. I'm out of money. But next year, maybe.
Stand.
So that's all I have.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Okay, would we like to entertain another motion regarding this situation?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we approve waiving the landscape and required paving to the end of the building,
Proposed new building?
proposed new building. Does that work?
Okay. Yep. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second to approve the landscaping site design waiver as submitted, as well as with an addition of concrete drive from the fence back.
I don't care if it's concrete, just paved black, it can be paved blacktop, it doesn't have to be
Sure.
concrete. It's just
Paving,
paved.
sure, paving from the fence line back 90 feet. There you go.
Could I add a time frame to the paving requirement?
Well, that's tied to the site plan.
That'd be tied to the site plan, yeah.
Essentially, they have 2 years. Once a site plan is submitted and approved, you have 2 years to complete the improvements.
Even if your building's completed already? Years?
Mr. Chair, so technically, before an occupancy permit can be issued for the property needs to be in compliance, so then the paving would have to be done by that time. So for instance, when you had the Sipal storage project out on Sipal Road, we gave timeframes for phasing of the paving over a certain time period in order to help offset some of the costs that may be impacted by it. So we actually had specific months and years tied to that. So I think, Rich, is that you're asking, is there ability to place a time frame when that could be completed? So for instance, they could build the addition and then give them a little bit of time to acquire some additional funding in order to pay for the cost for the paving. Is that what you're thinking, Rich? So, I mean, if Martha's amenable to it, she'd have to just, accept the time frame or the motion to her original motion, if that's something you want to do, Martha, or you guys need to have further discussion on that, so.
Yeah, I didn't say a date. I just was wondering. What about the first 25 feet would be done in conjunction with the building, and the rest, the next 67, whatever it was, 62 would be by the end of 2024.
We don't know when he's going to build the building, though. That's the problem.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you just tie the requirement to the building, it's going to be a part of the site design review.
What was the other example? In the example that you just gave, what were the timeframes?
They were tied to the building, so they have a large surface area, and as they built buildings, they had a condition to pave the drive aisles. There are some drive aisles that had to be paved immediately, and then they were spaced out by year, so like October of 20 whatever, and then the following year, so it was phased over a certain longer period of time.
Are they in
So-
compliance?
That one is currently, the existing one out there is currently not in compliance, so.
I mean, here.
No, I think, were you talking about the one on Sipal? Right, yeah.
But we're creating a situation where we have to go back and check on this by a certain time period. I don't know why we would create that hurdle. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor, waive the landscaping, 90 feet of paving. Did we have a second to that? I'm sorry.
I seconded it.
We had a second to that. Okay. Travis, would you?
All right, Christ,
Aye.
Lorman,
Aye.
Norton,
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna still have to vote no.
Russell,
Aye.
Mulligan.
Aye. Okay, that
Passes.
motion does pass 4-1. Okay. This will not go to city council. Right, okay. Dan, thank you. Okay, we have, our next item is a public hearing. 1860 Hawthorne Street is our applicant here. Great, come on up.
Had to call for a tow truck.
If you would state your name, address, and what it is that you're after, that'd be
Yes.
great.
All right. Good evening. Thanks for allowing me to speak here. Name is Derek Hayes. Address is 409 Massachusetts Avenue, Indianapolis, Indiana, 46204. I'm here before you tonight for a rezoning petition for an affordable housing development named Union at the Marina. Next slide, please. So just wanted to give you a little bit of context on our company and the project, and then be happy to answer any questions. But I'm with the Annex Group. We are a multifamily developer focused on impact housing. We have over 15 years experience and are also vertically integrated, which means we're a development, general contractor, and property management company. So single point of contact throughout the whole life cycle of the development. And we do focus on underserved markets across the country. We have a lot in the Midwest, also Pacific Northwest, Southeast, but really want to make an impact in the communities that we build in. So the location of the site is at Hawthorne and Kerper Boulevard, and it's a mixed-use area. It's at the end of the Kerper Boulevard Industrial Park, and then just south of the Point neighborhood, and northeast corner of Dubuque. So next slide, please. These are just a couple site pictures of the existing use. It's been a vacant parking lot, I believe, for several years. And then the picture on the left just shows the levee wall there along the water. So site plan, again, tonight with me is Nick Bettis from Axiom Consultants, our civil engineer. And I think they've done a great job laying the site out. There were several constraints on the site as far as easements, the flood levee, and some utilities that encroached on the property as well. So tried to lay it out. Again, our engineer and architect really tried to maximize the views. So that's kind of why they're staggered there a little bit. There will be green space around the buildings, in the middle of the buildings, and then also around the perimeter of the development. There's also a proposed dog park down there in the lower right corner. The proposed development will be a total of 201 units. I'll touch on the breakdown of units a little bit later, but some of the amenities in the development will be in-building clubhouse, fitness center, courtyard space, balconies and patios on the units, in-unit washer and dryer, and carports as well. And then again, just I know the petition before you is just for the rezoning portion of it, but did want to show some conceptual renderings. Again, I think our architect really created a high quality look and visual appeal to it with the dark elements and then the light wood elements. And it just kind of gives you a feel of the open space in front of the building and the, I guess, the maneuverability through the site. I think there's one more as well. This is another one. I don't know how well you can see that, but again, another thing we're pretty excited about is up on the upper left corner of the building will be a roof deck area. So it should be a nice amenity for the development. And then project details. So again, it will be 201 total units split between two buildings, 4 stories high each, served by an elevator. The unit mix we currently have is 85 one-bedrooms, 79 two-bedrooms, and 37 three-bedrooms. And then estimated timeline for the project right now would be permits, financing approvals, design would all take place from now until summer of next year. And then estimated construction start late summer, early fall of 2024, and roughly a 21 to 24 month construction schedule. So projected opening spring of 2026. And this is an affordable housing project. It's part of the Section 42 low-income housing tax credit program. And as part of that, the residents that would qualify for this would be income qualified households, which range in size from 1 to 5 persons, and income eligible LIHTC households will range. The income range would be roughly $32,000 to $60,000 annual income. And then this, again, this is some more details about the LIHTC program, the IRS Section 42 LIHTC program, and HUD publishes each year these rent limit or income limits, which then you derive a rent limit that you can charge for these units. So these are the 2023 rent limits, and I will note that each year HUD publishes new income limits and rent limits, so this will change year to year. Typically they increase somewhat, but yeah, so that's what we currently have right now for 2023, but when the project opens, it will be a different number. And then this is a more granular breakdown of our projected units, and so we will offer a range of income levels, so 50%, 60%, and 70%. There will be 9 one-bedroom units at the 50% AMI rent level. Majority of them will be at the 60% AMI, and then also 9 one-bedrooms at the 70% AMI. So it gives us a little bit of room to, if somebody's just barely makes $1 more than what would qualify, then we can bump them up to 70, or if there's a little bit lower, gives us a little room to maneuver and meet more of the market demand. And then I guess one other note too on that, so the gross rents in the second to last column, that is what was on the previous slide as far as the HUD rents. This development the tenant would be required to pay electric, and because of that, there's a utility allowance that is established which reduces the gross rent, and so the tenant rent is there, I think, in the 4th column. So they are, I guess, adjusted for the utility allowance of electric. And then the landlord would pay sewer, water, and trash. And so, yeah, I just want to touch on, we've had several meetings and conversations with the city and Greater Dubuque Development Corp. And different offices in the city, and we understand there's a big need for affordable housing. I think it's an issue all over the country, but we're focused on helping provide these units here in Dubuque and help chip away at those housing units needed. I think one study that was done last year, I think it determined there was almost 1,200 units that would be needed of workforce housing units over the next 10 years, or maybe 7 to 10 years, forget the exact. So we want to help achieve that goal. And then again, just want to touch on this, just some of the, general occupations that would qualify for these units, childcare workers, food service, teachers, medical staff. So there's a big group in this market specifically that could benefit from this, that are kind of left out of, making enough to afford the high-end market rate units, and then, there's just not enough units in that income range for these to take advantage of. And then last night I met with the Point Neighborhood Association. They were gracious enough to let me join their monthly meeting, and had a productive conversation, and heard their concerns and comments on the development. And one of them that came out was just they just want to know more. What do you guys do? Is there any past projects that we could look at? And so this is the most recent one, Union at Wiley. It's an affordable development in Cedar Rapids. And we just had a grand opening back in August. Residents were there, the mayor was there. Everybody was really excited that we were able to get this done and provide the much needed housing units in Cedar Rapids. So just wanted to throw that in there. I think there's one other slide after this. And then the testimonials, they were just asking what, some of the feedback was from the community and other projects. And so just threw in some of the testimonials from Union at Wiley, and it touches on, helping with their financial well-being, the cleanliness and safety of the development, and the responsiveness of the property management. So again, I just want to stress this is a long-term investment for us, but part of the LIHTC program is there's either a 15 or 30-year affordability period, and so as part of that, we have a property management company by design so that we can, see the project through and make sure that it meets the demands of the community and what we propose up front. So that's all I had. I'd be happy to answer any questions or can wait until public speaks.
Yeah, great presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions for our applicant this evening?
Thank you for coming and giving a thorough presentation.
Thank you.
Great. All right, so this is a public hearing. So knowing that, there's a few of you here, so I'll open up the floor. If you have a comment regarding the project, come on up, share your name and address. Hi.
Good afternoon. Robin Kennecker, 2929 Elm. I was also at the meeting last night for the Point River Association. Many people, they like the idea of having affordable housing in Dubuque, and we definitely need that. A lot of the studies I've done over the last 10, 15 years, the biggest complaint was we don't pay enough money in this town for people to actually get a decent affordable house or rent an affordable place for renting. And I know several people who have tried to come back to Dubuque won't do it because we don't pay enough high-income jobs. We're getting better. Don't get me wrong. We're getting better. It's not quite up there. And many people felt, too, that, the prices of $30,000 times the 30%, you look at $900 a month. Now, if you have somebody who's on Social Security or a college student, they really can't afford those issues. That's a lot of money to pay. And if you want to be more convenient, electricity is going to cost a lot more money for baseboard heat than it will for natural gas. Natural gas is cheaper. Now, of course, it costs the contractor more money to put the natural gas in, but I guarantee you, I've got friends who pay baseboard heat, and they're paying $120 a month for electrical in their apartment for 2-bedroom, where a person who's a 2-story house is paying $80. Now, mind you, both places are completely insulated perfectly, but it's very costly for electricity. So that's another issue to look at. The 2 other concerns I have is there was a lot of talk about maybe there's kids going to be in the building, maybe there ain't. Maybe there's going to be some elderly in the building, maybe there won't be. Maybe there'll be some college students there, maybe there won't be. Well, the location they've picked is the wrong location. And I'm going to tell you a couple different reasons why. That location there is right next to or a block away from the railroad tracks. Now, I've already been on the Canadian Pacific website, and they're going to increase daily the amount of cars and the amount of train traffic going down there constantly. So if this gets approved, what's going to happen next? Then they're going to come back and say, we need to have an overpass put there at Hawthorne. Who's paying for that? I don't think we should have to pay for that. I don't think this building should be built there, even though it is city land. Georgia Pacific's right down the street, and it is for sale. I'm sure there could be a partnership between the city, Chamber of Commerce, whoever, with Georgia Pacific, buy the building, refurbish the whole area, which would definitely fit this location, and the kids go right across the overpass, go to Marshall, go to Prescott, go to Audubon, and the older ones who don't drive would go right down to Eagles. They could walk right down Garfield. There would be nothing to do with the train tracks, as I fear it's a kid's going to get hit in time to come, or an elderly person is going to say, I'm not walking down Kerper because I don't have a vehicle to drive. And there's no place to walk on Kerper. So this is a very poor location. And when you want to buy something for groceries, Eagles is the only place there. So you're looking at, what, 15 blocks to walk down to Eagles? If you're right there at Georgia Pacific on Fengler, you cross Fengler, you're 3 blocks away, 4 blocks tops. So I would ask you to table this conversation because there's a lot of people who want to come to the public here in the city council meeting until this is kind of resolved, because people feel this is really put through the hoops quickly, and we need to slow it down and say, what's going on? Because many times things come out after it's already been done, and we'd like to see it tabled for now to really have a public input from the city council. So that's what people have told me and what was discussed kind of last night. I know that people want to talk about it too here. So thank you very much, all.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi, my name is Tina Ishman. This is my husband, Rick Ishman. We actually live across the street from the location that they want to build this building at. She pretty much summed it up how we feel about it, too. First of all, the community uses that area itself for the 4th of July and our
They have car shows down there.
They-
They
yeah.
use that lot for a lot of stuff the community does.
And
And-
like, yeah, go ahead.
You put that big building up, and we moved away from, we just bought this house down there a year ago. We moved away from a place trying to get out of an area. We moved down here because
We like the
we like the
area.
view, we like the
and
area
view.
with water. That building there, we ain't gonna be able to see none of that stuff up there from our house.
Yes,
I
and,
mean,
yeah.
and I don't know how many kids would be there, but you also need to think about, say there's 100 kids there, where are they gonna go to school at? Marshall's already, there ain't room for 100 kids at Marshall or Jefferson.
Or what are the kids going to do? There is a better location where you could put this building as,
There's an empty lot where FDL used to be, that's only a couple blocks away from Eagles and gas stations that somebody could walk if they needed to.
and that's a beautiful view there also.
They got that new bike trail around that pond and stuff over there. I mean, there's definitely better locations.
And the grocery store would be close of walking distance also. I think that there'd be a better location actually to put this building. I definitely think that we need it in this city, but there is a better
There's
location
got to be a
than,
better place than that for it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Anybody else this evening? And come on up. Hi, Rick.
Good evening. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Rick Dickinson. I have the pleasure of serving as the president of Greater Dubuque Development Corporation. And the applicant mentioned Greater Dubuque Development in his presentation because, in fact, we did conduct a housing study about 2 years ago now that identified a significant need for housing in our market, both single-family units and residential. And I know that oftentimes there are labels about low and moderate income or workforce housing. I would describe this project simply as essential housing. We have a significant need for housing like this in Dubuque because we have a significant need for workforce in Dubuque. And if you made $20 an hour, that's only $40,000, $42,000 a year approximately. I think this is the right development, the right spot. These folks have access to a beautiful view, that's true, if they're higher than the dike. We have the A.Y. McDonald Park in close proximity to this development. In addition to the green space, it's part of the development. And of course, the city pool. What a great place for folks to live, and what a great statement about a community where essential housing is located where the amenities are there. It's not stuck in the poorest census tract. It's not put behind something. It's there where it should be, where people have amenities and they can thrive in a community that we want to call home. You can be great here at Dubuque, and I think this is an example where 201 units and 201 families, both seniors and singles and folks with school-age children would be able to be a part of our community. So I ask for your favorable consideration of the requests, and I thank you for your service.
Thank you, Rick.
Hello, my name is Zach Berry. I live at 2688 University Avenue in Dubuque, Iowa. So I don't actually live in the area downtown that this is being looked after. But I did have some interest in this development as well, because I definitely see the need for housing in Dubuque as we were looking at other places to live, and downtown was one of them that has a significantly less property than what we'd like to find. That being said, though, I will say I do second the 907 still being a bit pricey for affordable. I mean, I know there's an equation that goes into consideration when affordable is being used, but I've seen other places at lower costs. That being said, though, it is right next to the river. Very nice view. I definitely think that having a view like that for a large amount of people is, more, I would say more equitable to have that. Could it be in a better location? I don't know if down the street next at GP would be, considering Russello's right next door, and Russello does not smell that great outside. There could be other things that could be done because of that. I know Russello also has problems with their how much water they output as well, so I don't know if that would have any concern with their plumbing as well too. There's just something I was thinking about. A few other points. I guess my question would be is, in terms of the property manager, in terms of who's going to be receiving the profit off of these rentals, where are they located? And are they local? Are they somebody who will be able to reinvest money in the city? Or is it going to be somewhere that's outsourced? Because I know right now there's already a crisis going on with Table Mound, where there's somebody that bought up a bunch of property up there. And now we have a situation where they're located, I heard Colorado, and they're very disconnected from the situation on the ground that these people that are living there are having problems with. And then also the money isn't going back into the city. So there's that. The food desert is another huge thing. Eagles is in a reasonable-ish distance, but I heard the prices there aren't that amazing. I can't say for certain myself, but I know downtown in general has a food desert crisis. And then otherwise, the railroad tracks, that's a big thing. I know the city has, I've talked to some people in the city about implementing quiet zones, although that takes time and certain requirements that have to be met. I think that would be a big thing to look into for not only here, but all the neighborhoods that live in the downtown of Dubuque, because what the lady that spoke here earlier said about the trains, I heard also have heard about the amount of trains being increased that are coming through Dubuque, and the trains getting longer too as well. Other than that, though, I would say it would be cool to see some more mixed use, but I know it's kind of a weird location for mixed use as opposed to just apartments complex. Say have like a 5th floor and put some retail on the bottom floor or some sort of commercial, because it is kind of a popular spot, but that might be asking a bit too much. So I know that was a lot, but I'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
Great. Thanks for your words. Okay, if there's nobody else, I will close the public hearing. And for our applicant, Derek, if you have any additional comments you'd like to raise?
Yeah, just a few general comments. I appreciate the public's feedback. As far as location, I understand the concerns. We do feel like this is an ideal location that would be a huge benefit to the surrounding areas. It is mixed use. There's industrial right next to it, and then also some recreational amenities with the A.Y. McDonald Park, the Sutton Pool, and then we'll also have our own internal amenities as well. So as far as, I guess, the safety of the residents, there will be plenty of areas internally, in a clubhouse, a meeting space, playground, things like that, that will keep everybody safe in the community, and then also can venture out to the parks as they see fit. Property management, so again, we're located in Indianapolis. We do hire a local on-site property management or property management team for each development, so it would be specific to the city of Dubuque, understand the area and the needs, and yeah, it's not, I guess just wanted to address that. I think that was it. Is there, I guess, was there any other questions I needed to address?
No, I think that was great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, very good. Sheena, I believe you're doing the staff report this evening?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Chair Mulligan. Sheena Moon, Associate Planner. So the request before the commission this evening is a rezoning request from CR, which is commercial recreational, to planned unit development with PR, planned residential designation. As we've already identified, the property is located at the corner of Hawthorne and Kerper, also having frontage along Harbor Street to the south there. And you'll see here the area outlined is the area that would be rezoned, the area in red kind of, so here. The area checkered here is the area of the site that would be rezoned. There's a little tail to the property currently that would be subdivided from the existing lot in the event that the project were to move forward. So just want to talk quickly about the process. So step one for an applicant is the rezoning process in this instance, which does require review by the Zoning Advisory Commission, who would then make recommendation to the City Council, who would be the final decision-making body. If approved for rezoning, the applicant would still be required to go through a site plan review process, which would be conducted by the city's development review team, which is comprised of multiple city departments, making sure the project is in compliance with all city codes and regulations. And after that, they would also be required to obtain permits through the Inspection and Construction Services Department for, building permits for the project as well. So property history, I just will note that it was previously the home to the Bowling and Beyond facility, which has been demolished, and the site is currently vacant. The area that they are looking to rezone would be an approximately 5.2 acre piece of property. As I mentioned earlier, it does have frontage along Kerper Boulevard, Hawthorne Street, and Harbor Street. The site is fairly flat. It does slope uphill slightly along that southern portion along the city's flood levee wall. And the property does contain a number of easements, which did kind of help steer some of the location for the structures. It does have some public utility easements, some water and drainage easements down along the southwest corner. Again, there is the flood levee easement to the south. And then there's also an overhead electrical easement along the west side of the property. So again, here's the overall site layout, and I won't go into a ton of detail here, just the highlights, as the applicant already shared most of this. So it would be 2 4-story buildings, a total of 201 units. And then site access would be from Kerper Boulevard as a right-in, right-out access, and then also from Hawthorne Street, which would have a full access onto Hawthorne. They'd have approximately 250 parking spaces. And so part of the reason I say approximately, as you've seen in the plans, there was a proposal for parking on the site. One of the pieces that they're working through with they did go through a conceptual review with the development review team. And through that process, it was identified that there would need to be this fire access lane. And so I believe the applicant's still working through determining whether or not they may have to adjust or modify the parking spaces to allow for adequate access to that lane in the middle. So the parking would be provided on the property as well as along Hawthorne Street that would be to the west here, or the east rather, here. And then again, they did identify that there would be a proposed dog park location as well as a proposed playground location on the property. So I already mentioned site access, so I will jump ahead. So one of the things we wanted to take a look at was traffic patterns and counts. And so we worked with our city engineering department to gather this data and understand what impact this project could potentially have to the adjacent streets. It's important to note that Hawthorne Street is a local street, and it currently experiences approximately 2,160 average annual daily trips along that route. Kerper Boulevard is classified as a minor arterial, and as you can see, there's a little bit of a difference between the northbound and the southbound lanes, but they're both kind of in the ballpark of around 2,000 average annual daily trips. This project would be projected to bring approximately 913 average weekday trips to the property and from the property. And then weekend trips are estimated at approximately 840. This is based off of extensive data that our engineering department is able to take a look at and evaluate the project against. Also note that there is a dual transit Pink Line stop along Romberg and Hawthorne, so walkable distance from the project. And then, as we heard earlier from a number of applicants, it is near the city's multi-use trail system, which could potentially provide an additional mode of transportation for residents. The property it is served by city water and sewer. Through that conceptual review process, the city did identify that there would need to be some upgrades to the sanitary sewer lift station for the project, which the city would be responsible for making in this instance. Parking, again, I walked through the parking, so I won't recap that. So just I wanted to touch briefly on the history of the zoning. So the property was initially zoned in 1975 as HI heavy industrial, which a number of properties in the area are industrial. And then in 1985 was approximately was rezoned to commercial recreation. I want to highlight a few comprehensive plan goals. The comprehensive plan encourages new multifamily development in proximity to jobs and minimize transportation costs. As we know, there's a number of employers in the vicinity of this project. It encourage and create walkable mixed-use developments. The goal, another goal, is to integrate a variety of residential product types in mixed-use areas. So that includes multifamily product types such as townhomes and apartments. And then I'll also note that the future land use map does identify the site as commercial. With that, I just wanted to note that we have not received anything written or verbally as far as on the record prior to today's meeting. And so with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that the commission may have.
Can you please explain the property immediately adjacent to this proposed development on the same block? It looks open with a parking lot.
Yes, I believe you're referring to the property on the left side here, the east side here?
Yes.
Yes, that currently is a vacant lot. And as I mentioned, this property does have kind of a tail that runs along this side, but this lot is currently vacant with a parking lot there currently.
Is that owned by the city, Sheena?
The property is owned by a private developer. It's not owned by the city of Dubuque.
It was used for Barnstead Thermal Line when they were in operation.
Okay. Any other questions for staff?
Sheena, what is the code requirements for per unit, like for parking? What is it?
Parking would generally be 1.5 parking spaces per unit. This project proposes approximately 1.26 parking spaces per unit.
Will they have to come up with the more spaces then to meet this code?
So in this instance, the applicant has a conceptual development plan that would be tied to the rezoning, to the ordinance. And in this instance, they're requesting to be consistent with the conceptual plan.
If I could add to that, so when this request came before us for all planning unit developments, we actually take it through our conceptual development plan review through our DRT. The discussion was revolved around parking. And parking for low-income housing tax credit projects for affordable housing are kind of a little bit mixed as some of the market rates. We asked the applicant to go through, because they have several of these projects located not only across the state of Iowa, but across the United States. And on average, what do they typically see? Because we don't want to overpark a situation, create more impermeable area that we not necessarily need in certain locations. And based off all the information that they approved was generally a ratio of 1.25. We had some other developments, the Gardens of Dubuque, located out off of Radford Road. They actually have less parking requirements than the 1.5 for that unit. We have some other ones that are meeting the 1.5, but in this case, based on the parking analysis and the discussion, we arrived at the 1.25. And with the PUD, you have the ability and the flexibility to base that off the conceptual development plan. I think if you look at the mix of the housing, you have 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms and 3 bedrooms. If you think of like a single family home, there's typically only 2 paved off street parking spaces for that, and the general demand based on the size of these units and the space. And then the ability to not only be located directly on a bus route, which is another thing. The one thing about this site with regards to parking and traffic is it's directly located adjacent to jobs, in addition to the parkland area, that they'll be providing their own personal park on the site, but in addition to AY McDonald, close proximity to the swimming pool, and the ability for the city, who has a multi-use trail, which is the JC's trail on the levee, but also the city has received funding for a raised grant, which will include a bike hike trail system that will go along Kerper Boulevard at the location. So there's been a lot of analysis that's gone through the development review team to look at the site. We did have a lot of discussions about the parking. There is an area that you can see on Hawthorne Street where there's angled parking, providing access to the property. That's been discussed thoroughly with the engineering department. So based on the layout and the development review team, the site is been fully vetted with regards to that. And I don't know, Martha, if I fully answered your question, but that's how we arrived at the parking requirement.
Okay, thank you, Wally.
Was this property that I asked about immediately adjacent to it considered or an option for this development or not?
So the property is privately owned. So our office actually gets contacted several times with regards to projects, whether it's a market rate project, whether it's a affordable project. So typically they go out and they look at sites that are available throughout the community. What kind of drew them to this location is the scale, the size of the site. Typically, most of these developments are looking for about 2 acres. This is a 2.5 acre site in order to accommodate the parking and everything. So the lot to the south is actually privately owned. I don't know if the individual has approached that, but when we do have people contact us, we're looking for infill developments throughout our community. And if you look at our community, we're in the driftless region. There's sites that are rolling topography, some are very steep and difficult to develop. This location, in my opinion, as a city planner, is an ideal location for this high-density multifamily residential. In the past, you typically didn't see housing being placed next to industrial, but that's changed now. That's actually becoming more of the norm in order to help some of these units become more affordable. Transportation cost is an expense for a lot of individuals. So to answer your question, that site to the south, it's privately owned. They would have to reach out to them and talk to them specifically about it. So
No. Thank you, Wally. Any other questions for staff? Okay, open it up for conversation amongst the commission. Tell you what, I'll go first. I think this is great development. It's a great spot. It's exactly what we need out there. It's close to jobs. It's a site that's going nowhere fast. And a lot of the items that we talked about are risk that's borne upon the developer. And so it's them doing their due diligence on that site. So I think somebody choosing to make an investment like this in a site that's been unused and going nowhere for a long time is a wonderful addition to the community. Any other comments, thoughts?
I'll concur that I heard a lot of great things from the developer who came up and presented, and Mr. Dickinson, who is attending this meeting, because this seems to be an important project for them, and also Wally Warnemont. There's a lot of pluses to this proposal. I mean, the one downside that I noticed for the neighbors is that it is immediately next to those homes there, and so a very big change for them. But there's so many pluses to it that, I don't know, change happens.
Yeah. Any other comments from the commission? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the request for rezoning from CR to PR. PUD, PR, I guess it is.
Okay, Travis, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, We have a motion, we have a second. Travis?
Lorman,
Aye.
Aye.
Norton,
Aye.
Christ,
No.
Mulligan.
Aye. Okay, that motion passes. That will go before city council on, what is that?
The-
16th.
Yes, thank you.
Or 16th. Derek, thank you. Travis, I was moving ahead without a second, I'm sorry.
That's quite all right.
Okay, do we have any items from the public? All right, seeing none. Any items from the commission this evening? Okay, seeing none. Any items from staff?
No items from staff.
No items from staff. Okay, I entertain a motion for adjournment.
So move.
So moved.
Aye.
Aye, meeting adjourned. Thank you all.